So, before we start, let's refresh on what Germany was up to after World War I. With the Treaty of Versailles imposing restrictions on Germany's tank development, they decided to proceed in secret. They started off with the Like tractor in 1929, which was developed by several companies, including Rheinmetall and Daimler-Benz. This tank was not built for war, but instead to serve in training, and with only 4 produced, it's not hard to see why. Germany was under the watchful eye of the Allies after World War I, and they proceeded to test their new vehicle in the Soviet Union, which at the time was on quite better terms with the nation. As the tank continued its use in training, 2 men, Oswald Lutz and Heinz Guderian, had various plans for the future of the German tank program. Guderian planned for an entire corps devoted to tanks. This would be achieved with 3 tank models, all differing in purpose. This included a slow but powerful infantry tank to go toe-to-toe with the Allies' best forces. A fast tank, reminiscent of the British cruiser line, would help the Germans' blitzkrieg plans. And finally was a super heavy tank that could destroy all in its path, weighing 70 to 100 tons. Adolf Hitler enjoyed the ideas of Guderian, and the Panzer program picked up steam. The first desired tank was not quite within the reach of Germany though. No specific designs appealed to Guderian, and instead a smaller tank was developed to better help the German army deal with this new kind of warfare. This would be the Panzer I. This tank was designed again for training purposes, but would find itself in combat not too soon after. It wasn't an amazing tank by any means, but considering it wasn't designed explicitly for combat, still makes its achievement successful. It lacked a cannon, instead opting for machine guns, which certainly limited its use. Its armor was not particularly good, so it couldn't fight at close range without being susceptible to fatal damage. Even with these setbacks, however, it would still find itself used throughout the war by several countries. Germany was still eager for the standard infantry tank first used by Guderian, but it was soon apparent the tank wouldn't be ready soon. So development began on yet another smaller tank, named the Panzer II. While again not intended to carry the entire German war effort, it was still a successful tank. It was given a stronger gun, this time anti-tank, and improved armor. It would remain relevant for several years until 1940 approached, when Germany was finally ready for the tank it desired so much. The Panzer III saw astronomical improvements compared to its predecessors. This led to its success in the battlefield, which gave Germany reasons to produce more. Compared to the previous tanks, this vehicle had almost 3 times more produced. This gives some credit to its success and importance in the war, but it wouldn't be quite enough for Germany. It wasn't great against larger tanks, and this issue was solved by the Panzer IV, which was intended to supplement the less powerful Panzer IIIs. In reality, this didn't quite occur, as the Panzer IV found so much success it outproduced the Panzer II by the end of the war. Its specs showed a small jump over its predecessors, but this would be more than enough to justify its prominence in combat. It wasn't perfect, however, and Adolf wanted to improve the cannon further to compete with the T-34s. This was deemed pointless though, as newer tanks that were planned would easily perform better. This would be the Panther tank, or Panzer V. The Panther was renowned for its main gun, along with the armor it flaunted. The Panther had a few drawbacks though. It was produced relatively cheap for the kind of tank it was. This made many internal parts less than optimal, making the tank itself need repairs too often. In fact, in the Battle of Kursk, many of the Panther's losses can be attributed to this. A successor with improved specs, a Panther II, was planned, but never mass-produced. The next development would be the Tiger I, or Panzer VI. This came after Germans fought T-34s against the Soviets, a rather important moment in German tank production history. This led to a desire for larger, stronger tanks, and the Tiger I was definitely a larger, stronger tank. The Tiger I is definitely a bit too complex, which made the tank itself very expensive. This didn't distract from the fact that the Tiger I was a powerful force in battle and one of the best tanks during the war. It was 60 tons, making it one of the largest tanks in the war, but it could still keep a speed of 28 miles per hour. This success did not make it more influential than the previous Panzer III or IV, however, as it was still a very expensive machine to make. Just over 1,300 would be produced, but it was still a terrifying beast during its relatively short reign. The Tiger II, or Tiger B, whatever your heart desires, Henschel and Porsche were both in contention for the final design, with Porsche taking a less conventional approach. However, these design changes, ranging from adding a rear turret to core engine changes, weren't enough to win. The final design was similar to the Panther, but much larger. As it was over 75 tons, the fact it could move would be impressive, but the fact it could go over 25 miles per hour is pretty crazy. This would see the end to the Panzer line of tanks produced, but several more were planned. The Panzer VII Low, or Lion, would never reach production, but its specs alone give it reason for discussion. No final prototypes were made, but 2 versions were in the final plans. One called for an 84-ton version, the other with 99 tons. Redesigns occurred with the larger version, which would have given it a top speed of 22 miles per hour. This design wasn't approved in the end for German production, as another design was more appealing to them. This would be the Panzer VIII, the Maus, translating to mouse. It was big. How big? 207 tons. A cannon that would have made this king of the battlefield if it was actually put into battle. The armor ranged from 180 to 220 millimeters, and in the end it was supposed to be a near invincible force on the battlefield, making its way towards the enemy at 12 miles per hour. A lot of speed for something weighing over 400,000 pounds. 2 prototypes were finished with only 1 fully completed. This would be the final tank design Germany would have during the war. Other, even larger vehicles were planned, some that transcended the definition of tank into something more. But I think this is worth a full topic some other day. So who do you think made the best tanks of the war? Which tanks are your favorite? Leave your comments below. This is Cody of Knowledge Hub.